Scott Lucas is a professor of international politics, Clinton Institute, University College of Dublin. Is joining us from Birmingham, United Kingdom. Scott, good to see you and welcome to WION World is One. Peace initiatives are not new. African team has presented theirs to Presidents Putin and Zelenskyy, and now there is a peace meeting in Jeddah. But still, both leaders of Ukraine and Russia are not willing to compromise. What will it take for some dialogue to take place?
First of all, I think it's very important to establish what the peace initiatives are on the table and why the confirmation of the meeting in Saudi Arabia in a few days' time is so significant. The Kremlin doesn't really have a peace initiative. What the Kremlin has effectively said is, look, if you allow us, if you accept that we have seized almost 20% of your territory, if you let us have Crimea and the 4 other regions, then we'll stop fighting. We'll stop attacking you. Now, clearly, Ukraine's not going to accept that. The Ukrainian peace initiative is that the 4 territories which Russia has tried to annex, Luhansk and Donetsk in the east, Zaporizhia and Kherson in the south, those have to be, that's Ukrainian territory, and Russian forces have to withdraw. And then the status of Crimea, which Russia has occupied since 2014, has to be discussed. In fact, they've proposed a 10-year consultation period over that. So Ukraine's not even trying to get all of its territory back under the peace formula that it put forward as early as April 2022. But what it is saying is, no, you cannot reward a Russian aggression. Now, why is it so significant that Saudi Arabia is now hosting more than 30 countries, not just the U.S., not just the European Union, but also invitations going out to India, South Africa, Brazil, Zambia, and other countries from Africa and Asia and Latin America? It's because it shows that internationally, there is a willingness to discuss this Ukrainian peace formula, to discuss this as a possible way out of the war, even if Vladimir Putin continues to oppose it. Right. In other words, this is probably the most significant pressure, international pressure on Putin since February 2022 to stop the aggression.
Scott, what do you make of Ukraine starting new consultations with the United States for security guarantees? Will that work in the long run?
Again, we can go back to what was being discussed before Vladimir Putin attacked Ukraine in February 2022, which is, yes, security guarantees for Ukraine against any type of aggression, as well as security guarantees that Moscow was demanding. Now, clearly, Moscow rejected security guarantees for Ukraine because it then launched the invasion. But I think it's important to note that although Ukraine is discussing security guarantees with the United States, it is only part of a wider discussion. You may remember that the question of security guarantees was in the forefront of the NATO summit only a few weeks ago. So that we're talking about security guarantees from that organization, security guarantees from European states, and I suspect even, again, with the hope that Asian, African, Latin American countries will support it, some type of security guarantees from the United Nations that Ukraine cannot again be attacked and its civilians suffer so much because one man, Vladimir Putin, decided he wanted to take over the country.
All right, I've been talking to Scott Lucas. He's a professor of international politics, Clinton Institute, University College of Dublin. Scott, thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you, sir.